Welcome to Fireside Gaming. I'm Billum, and this week we're taking a look at Metroid Zero Mission. I won't beat around the bush here, you all know why I'm looking at this game. E3 wrapped up last week, and the Nintendo Direct included Metroid Dread, a game I never thought would see the light of day. You can check out my tier list video if you want to see how I felt about E3 2021, by the way. So with the announcement of Metroid Dread, there's no doubt going to be players new to the Metroid series that want to dive right in. I mean, it has been almost 20 years since Metroid Fusion came out on the Game Boy Advance. Of course, there's no better place to start with Metroid than the beginning. And no, I don't mean the original that came out on the NES back in 1986. While that game definitely deserves its recognition, it's not what I would recommend for getting into Metroid. Instead, I see Zero Mission as the perfect entry point. That's due to the fact that it's a remake of the original Metroid with beefed up gameplay and graphics fitting of a Game Boy Advance game. So, I know I usually go over the story of games in great detail for retrospectives, but I'm not doing that this time around. After all, the whole idea here is that this is how players should get into the Metroid series. So with that in mind, I don't want to ruin the story for them. Instead, let's talk about why Metroid Zero Mission is the best way to start your Metroid journey. To start with, the story covers Samus Aran's first mission, or as this game calls it, her Zero Mission. It's even been expanded out from the original to include more story that new players will likely appreciate. Without going into much detail, there's also a bit of bonus story after the main game that further fleshes out the lore of the series and Samus's character. Another reason that you're going to want to play Zero Mission over the original Metroid is the updated gameplay. New features such as ledge grabbing, charge shots, and more are included in this game. With them come some additional bosses that add more to the game without feeling like they were just tacked on. All of this works to make Metroid Zero Mission feel more like a later release in the series by adapting some of the changes seen in those games into this remake. In fact, Zero Mission is actually made using the same engine that was developed for Metroid Fusion. The game takes a lot of design cues from Fusion as well. For example, Fusion is known as being one of the more linear games in the Metroid series. That's due to the strict structure that players have to follow in that game. While Zero Mission isn't quite as restrictive, it does offer much more guidance to players than the original, or most other games in the series for that matter. That's due to these Chozo statues that quite literally point the player to exactly where they need to go next. They don't show them exactly how to get there, but it isn't too hard to figure out. Honestly, this feature makes Metroid Zero Mission not only a good entry point for new players to the series, but also to the Metroidvania genre as well. It still allows for plenty of exploration, but also gives players a clear goal to head for. If I'm being honest, I much prefer the style of Super Metroid, where it just drops you off and you have to figure out where to go next on your own. That sense of freedom is much more what I associate with the Metroidvania genre, but that doesn't mean a little linearity ruins the experience. Also, I have to point out that players that want to experience the original Metroid still have that option in Zero Mission. Once players beat the game, they unlock the original Metroid for the Nintendo Entertainment System in the options menu. Though, I imagine by that point, players will be spoiled by Zero Mission's save points as compared to the original's password system. It won't take long for players to beat Zero Mission. I hadn't played it for a few years before doing it for this video, so my playthrough was much more casual in nature. Even so, I still only spent about 4 hours with the game. That short playtime is a noticeable smudge on the game, but at least it's not that expensive to pick up anymore. Obviously, players that want to experience Metroid Zero Mission have the option of buying it physical, but there's also the Virtual Console release to consider. It's only $8, and players can pick it up through the Wii U eShop. If you don't have a Wii U or Game Boy Advance, then you're out of luck. If Nintendo knows what it's doing, it'll add GBA games to Switch Online before Metroid Dread comes out. Doing so would bring most of the mainline Metroid games to one console. That means players could experience Metroid Zero Mission, Super Metroid, and Metroid Fusion all on the Switch. It's worth noting that this leaves out Metroid 2. Even so, it did get a remake on the 3DS a few years ago that players can find fairly easily. Also, of all of the Metroid games, 2 is the one that players can easily skip and not miss out on much. Seriously, you can just watch the final parts of the game online and you'll have all the information you'll need to move on to Super Metroid. That's all I've got for you today. If you have any additional questions about Metroid Zero Mission or any other games in the Metroid series, feel free to comment below or hit me up on Twitter at Billum256. And as always, thank you for watching and take it easy.